Hey, it's Pork here from Editutes, and I just thought I'd bring you a quick photography 101 tip. As I said in my previous video, which I just actually uploaded, and I'm just doing this as an extra kind of bonus thing. I wanted to kind of go into photography a little bit on this channel. Now, even though I'm using Lightroom 4.3, 64-bit here, any editing software, you know, it's the same. Any photo editing software you have will work just fine. You don't have to have Lightroom in particular. Now, I'm just going to show you some really basic stuff, and I'm going to critique some of my own photographs that I've taken to show you, which ones were taken right and which ones were taken wrong. In this case, I think all of them were taken wrong, but I'll show you what, the good features of each photograph has. Now, in this particular picture, I'm using an Olympus. It was either an Olympus C400 or a Canon Rebel K2 film camera. I had both with me, so I don't know which one this is. I've lost all the data off the hard drive to tell me which was which. I think this one doesn't have exit data, so it's probably the phone camera. Either way, as you can see, it's a bird on a pillar of a posting, and I tried to capture, the blown out background, the out of focus background with a sharp image. But as one of my favorite photographers, Brian Peterson, says, I didn't fill the frame. Now you might say, what does that mean? Well, even though this is a nice enough picture, it represents the bird being on the pillar and everything, I could have got a lot closer. Now I'm going to go into develop mode here in Lightroom. I'm going to show you what I mean. I'm going to take the crop adjust tool. I think it's called crop adjust tool. Crop overlay. So I'm going to take the crop overlay, and I want to keep some of this detail of the car and the tire in and stuff, but I want to get a lot closer this time. So I'm going to make sure all the post is in, but I'm going to just bring it to about there. Okay, and we're going to do done. Now you see a different picture. Now, I don't like the image being smack in the middle of the screen, so I'm going to reset and go back to the crop tool. And this time I think I'm going to take a lot more of the right hand side in. Like, just bring it just offset. I don't like the image, or the kind of main feature of the photograph being dead in the center. So we're going to do it like this. That's a lot better. So we're going to do done. Now as you can see, this is a lot more close up. Now this is how originally I should have taken the photograph. But that's what we have Lightroom for. We all make mistakes, and Lightroom enables us to go in and try and do our best to fix those errors. As you can see, we have a lot more detail. I'll try and do a before and after. I can't because it's cropped. But you can see that it's a lot, more, the bird fills up more of the frame. As Brian Peterson says, fill the frame. But what we're going to do here is, just because this is a slight bit out of focus, we're going to take the selection tool, or adjustment brush I should say, and I'm going to try and just get the bird in here. I don't want everything else in the background in the same sharpness, so let me see how that does. What's that like? That'll do. So we're going to take the sharpness and we're going to bump it up. And we want to take the noise and bring it down. Just about there. And I'm going to bring clarity up. Oh, that's too much. Bring clarity up a good bit. And I'm looking for vibrance, but I can't see it. I'm in the wrong tab. I don't know, maybe saturation will do the job. Let's see. That's a lot better. Heck of a lot better. Okay, so now what I want to do as well is I want to take the highlights down a little here. And as well as that, I want to take the contrast down. Yeah, there we go. So I want to take the contrast down as well, so it's not super bright. Okay, and exposure. Let's bring that. I'm trying to match the white surrounding the bird to there we go. That's it. So we can mess around with the temperature, try and get a better shade of color in there. Oh, that doesn't work. Let's go back to the blues around there. And the tint I'm going to bring slightly up to green. That's too much. I'm going to bring that back and let that reset into... Okay, something wrong there. I have a green aura, and then this temperature. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to bring this to here. Just down a little bit. Now, as you can see, the bird is a lot sharper in the image. We sacrificed some of the detail because we've cropped the image, of course, But my point here, just to very quickly show you, is like if you take an image and you look at it and go, I should have been closer on the frame. You know, use the crop tool. Whatever software you have, use the crop tool and adjust the focus and clarity and, you know, sharpness a little bit to get the image to just to spike up a bit. Now I'm gonna go back to this image here. And this was taken in Bray, County Wicklow. Sorry, the bird one was. This one was taken in the Phoenix Park in Dublin. Now, my idea here, this was back when I was kind of first doing photography, and my idea here was the lines of the path to lead you into the main kind of background image, but it's not very well done because you see the tree that I was kind of leading to is pretty bare and pretty bland. Now, the colours as well, it's well overexposed, and again, looking back now, I can't believe I actually took a picture like this, but very simple. We don't have to adjust because everything is the same here. So we're going to go to, hang on a second, I'm going to click done. Yep. We're going to go to the basic tab, and I'm just going to bring the exposure down. Not too much, I don't want it completely dull. Now I'm going to bring the contrast up. There we go, that's a lot better. Now you can see that the brightness of the path matches the kind of rest of the brightness in the path where the light's getting through. But it's not overexposed, it's not totally blown out, and it makes the forest just look little bit more like a forest, you know, much more darker and much more scary, or whatever you might think. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to take the shadows, and we're going to pump the shadows up a little bit just to balance the light out. You see there the difference it makes when I mess around with it, when I do it loads, but we just want a little bit, something like that. And I'm also going to increase the blacks, just to lighten the blacks a little bit. No, that's too much. You see, we're getting overexposed again. Like that. Now, another thing we're going to do, we're going to use the crop tool again. And what I'm going to try and do this time is have the left-hand side of the path more in the image than the right, because I think the right, we have nothing here really to look at. So, I'm going to start off from here, using the crop overlay. And I'm going to crop to about there. And done. Now, it might look dramatically different, but I think all of a sudden the path leads more to the left-hand side, and we have more details and stuff on the left-hand side. The trees taken out doesn't distract as much, and it's just a little bit better. You can mess around the colours and everything else. Now, I'm going to go to the next picture here. This was taken in Kilkenny, and as you can see, I made the dreadful mistake of focusing on the handrail rather than the stairs. So the first step is in focus, but the rest on the plants on the side and the railings and everything isn't. But if you notice, this is in perfect focus. We can't do much with this, but we're going to try and do something a little bit crazy. First of all, I'm going to crop, because first we shouldn't have so much in the scene. I'm going to crop to about there. And done. Okay, that's a lot better. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the graduated filter, but I'm going to use it from bottom to top this time rather than... Now you can press shift to keep this dead straight. I'm going to bring it to about there actually. Okay, and now I'm going to bring the exposure down till the path is kind of even. You see, as it was, the front area is way too exposed, so I'm going to bring that down about there. And I'm going to bring the clarity up just a tad. Now, as I said, there's not much we can do with this, but we can mess around with some crazy effects. Oh, whoops, I haven't. I'll click done on that. We can mess around with some crazy effects, like bringing just some crazy tints in. You know, if you get a photograph that you'd figure is completely ruined, why not mess around with it and try and find something that you can, you know, get a crazy image of. Trying all different kinds of tints and colours. Try and make it to look, even if you want to take it into black and white. And again, look at that. You know, even though it's not in focus, I just think the black and white offers a lot more clarity and gives you a lot more kind of background detail. Now I'm going to bring the clarity up a good bit for the whole picture. Again, we're just messing around here. This isn't following any rules. We're just basically, you know, we're trying to mess around and find the best, you know, but what the best is we can do with it. I'm going to close basic down, and I'm going to go into detail. Now we have a sharpening tool here. Now I've just clicked this thumbnail image and it's brought the whole screen up, so this is going to change the sharpness of the whole thing, which I don't want because the first bit is in focus. So we're going to click the little tool here, this little crosshair thing again, and we're going to click there, somewhere down the bottom of the stairs like that, and we're going to sharpen it up. That's a lot better. I'm going to bring the radius up and the detail up, and masking up just to soften it out a little bit. Now we can mess around with the luminance. No, we can't because it's black and white, obviously. So what we can do is we'll go back into tone curve. Now basically you look at this, it tells you in the bottom what they are: shadows, darks, lights and everything. I want to bring the darks up, so I'm going to drag that up. Excuse me. So we've just messed around with a picture that, as far as we were concerned, was completely ruined. And why won't this let me scroll up? Okay, I'll close this. Okay. Here we go, basics. So we're going to go back into basic, and what I want to do here is mess around with the highlights and shadows. I want to make where the handrail is kind of in the background a little bit more darker. So I'm going to go to the adjustment tool, and I'm going to just give a light brush, make sure it's around the handrail, not on it. And then we're going to go to exposure and just bring that down a little. Oh, that's too much. Okay, so just want to, there. Now, looking at the two images, I think this was taken with my Canon 3000V, which was a film camera, 35mm. But anyway, you take this left-hand side image, which is the original. Okay, this is like fresh from the camera, no editing done. And you take this one on the right-hand side. Now, even though it's a bit more weirder looking, you know, it's black and white, I think it just works a lot better. And I think it's not something I do at every picture, don't get me wrong. But as we've ruined this image, because we didn't bring the whole steps into focus, but we did a good bit here with the image sharpening. We brought those steps right up to sharp, you know, sharp as we could get them. So again, I think just bringing it to black and white, messing around with the settings till you get something that you think just looks a lot more interesting as a shot, and just has a lot more kind of grain and noise to it that makes you look around and examine the whole picture, which is, you know, taking a picture to make people look and enjoy it. Anyway, on to the next picture. I'm going to click done on that. Now on to the next picture. I was trying again a Brian Peterson special, which is called Framing Within a Frame. I made the dreadful mistake of putting the background in focus and the trees. There's too much of the trees. I should have went forward again with that. So quickly we're going to crop. I want to keep the full size of it in, so we're going to go there. Like that, and we're going to click done. And see, we have now that the focus of the image is Kilkenny Castle, and it's not the trees anymore. But we can also take the adjustment tool, and I'm going to just bring that down there. Do a bit the same here. I'm just left clicking and holding down. And I'm just going to do that, and I'm going to bring, where's the clarity? Clarity. I'm just going to bring the clarity all the way up. And I'm going to bring the saturation up a good bit as well. And I also want to bring the sharpness up. And I think we need to bring the clarity a little bit down here, so I'll bring the clarity bit down. That's a lot better. Now, what we can also do with the tools up here, we're going to make that sky pop a little bit more. So we're going to first of all click done. We're going to click the graduated filter. I'm going to click on the top. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight, so I'm just going to not bother with shift. But I just want the sky in, so that'll do. I'm going to bring the exposure down. Now, even though that does, actually I tell you, I'm going to skip that. I'm going to cancel out of that. Oops, I'm in that. And we're going to go to the adjustment brush instead. And I'm just going to kind of try and get the sky, but not the castle. Alright, and then we're going to bring the exposure down. Okay, something a bit more. And then we're going to bring the temperature up to the blues a bit more. See, that's not working, because the castle is starting to go a bit blue. So what I might do here is, I might actually click done. And I think I'm going to bring the clarity of the overall picture up a little bit. Oh, that's too much. There. Now, I'm not, again, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that this is the best image in the world, you know, by far. All I'm saying is that we took something that was potentially a ruined picture and we tried to make it a little bit better. You'll see that there's more detail and contrast in the stone than there is in the left-hand side. And the trees kind of just, you know, seem a little bit more prominent than they did before. Again, I'm just showing you kind of what you can do to rescue pictures. Now this one here, this is an absolutely dreadful shot. I originally wanted just to get a crop of that bridge, like a panoramic kind of esque shot of that bridge with the water underneath, but I couldn't visualize that in my mind. That, you know, I wanted the sky in as well. Anyway, I ruined the picture. It's a horrible picture, and you notice you can barely see detail of the people on the bridge. Now we can do a crop here, for sure, and we can just say, well, right, we don't want the cars in, so I'll do it about here. I'll make it the full size of the thing. Now we could click done, and we could say, oh look there, but we have the cars in. We have, you know, it's just not nice. So we're going to click reset. And so instead, I'm going to mess around with the picture. I'm going to take the graduated filter. I'm going to bring that sky all the way down. I'm going to press shift to make this straight. And I don't want it all the way, just to about there. And I'm going to bring the exposure all the way down a good bit. And we're going to mess around here. We're going to make it look like the people on the bridge are looking at the sky. Again, it's crazy, but it's just... let me go a little bit more detail. I'm going to bring temperature back to blue. And look at that for the difference already. And just by doing that simple thing, look at the sky. And that's what I'm saying. That's where you can rescue pictures. The sky is well overexposed, not enough detail. It was a horrible day anyway. The weather was horrible. You know, it's grey clouds, grey sky. So just by doing this, by adding a gradiated filter, adding some contrast, lowering the exposure, and bringing in a tint of blue, temperature blue, we've made this. Now we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to click done. And we're going to go from the bottom up. I don't want to get all this, so that there will do. I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to bring the exposure slightly down. About there. And I'm going to bring the tint to blue. Actually, a bit more blue. Okay. And I'm going to bring the sharpness up a little bit as well, because I think it's just a little bit out of focus. And let me see the clarity as well. No, I think that takes away from that. Right, about there. So, some noise. Right, so anyway, there's the before and after. Now, again, it's not a perfect picture. The bridge, you know, definitely made a mistake with that. What we're going to do now is we're going to click done. And this time I'm going to crop the image, not lengthways, but actually we're going to cut out some of this stuff on the side where there's nobody standing. So we're going to go like this. Again, there's no rule to this. This is just me trying to rescue an image that I feel is completely ruined. So I'm going to click done. And there. Now we have a lot more detail in the people on the bridge. The water underneath is a lot more blue and shinier. And the sky is at least something to look at now. And again, it's going to be cropped the image. But if I show you before and after, you see the water before down here underneath. It's just white. There's no detail to it, there's no texture to it, there's no reflection on it. Whereas we bring up the exposure, bring down the exposure slightly, bring up the temperature to blue a little bit more, and all of a sudden, you know, it's a lot better. Same with the sky. At least now the people on the bridge are a little bit more in the image, and you know, I think it's a nicer picture. Anyway, I just wanted to kind of bring in some tips to show you. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset all these. Okay, and take it off Y. So basically what the thing we did wrong with this was, first of all, we should have zoomed in tighter on the bridge, maybe even only get the guy, the yellow shirt, and the guy beside him. You know, that would have been a nice little tight cropped image there to show. And we didn't, we overexposed the sky and the water. In this one I'm going to click, I'll click done, and then reset. You can see the before and after. Now again, here what we made a mistake. We tried to do a frame within a frame, but we didn't get enough detail of the castle to make that work. So that's essentially what we did. And again, we overexposed the sky. A neutral density filter on your camera would have made an awful great difference there. So in this one, I'm going to click reset on this as well. So in this one we had basically we focused wrong. We took the focus on the handrail instead of at the bottom of the steps, or at the steps in focus. And we corrected that a little bit, but it didn't look right, so we brought it to black and white. Essentially what we did wrong here was we focused in the wrong area and we put too much in the scene. We should have tightened the crop, you know, made it a lot more crop down to the left and right of the steps more. And in this one, I'm going to click reset. In this one, basically too much in the frame. The road or the path doesn't lead to anything interesting enough to to have it actually leading there. And there's too many trees, too much to look at. So we cut out the left right hand side. We cropped in a little bit more. But again, what I should have done there was gone right about 10 paces and taken the shot from there, because we would have had the path leading up to the tree with everything in between. And again in this one, If I click reset, you'll see it zooms out a lot. Here we go. So in this one, we didn't focus tight enough on the bird. The bird is the center of what we're trying to show in this photograph here, and we didn't show enough of it. So we cropped around the image, we tried to brighten the colors up, make it more sharper, and bring the color into the bird a little bit more. Again, this is just a few little tips while you're taking pictures to think about what kind of pictures you want. If you're taking a picture of a bird on a pillar here, what you want as your main aspect of the photograph. Is it the bird, or what the bird is standing on, or is it the fact of where the bird is? Now, if behind the bird there was a tree or something, I'd say that's fine, because you're trying to show the location of where the bird is. In this case, a car doesn't exactly show much. You couldn't tell that's Bray, and you couldn't even tell it's Ireland. So think about what's behind the image you're trying to take, and make sure you're tight enough on the image to give it enough detail, and that it's not just lost in the scene. One thing I'd say when taking pictures is to always take the picture, and then the most important thing, the number one thing you have to do if you're trying to get into photography and you want to take good pictures, is think about perspective. You want to think about where you're standing, at what angle, what height, and basically what surroundings is there. For example, in this particular shot, I should have taken a few steps to the right, gone a little bit lower to the ground, just to give that kind of more foreboding effect into the forest. But that's why we have Lightroom. We can fix some things, we could say, well, I made an error there, and we'll try and mess around with it and get it right. But at the end of the day, you should be aiming to take your pictures perfect out of the, when you click that shutter. So that's it. Again, it's just a little photography 101 thing. I'll do a few of these, not all in Lightroom. I'll be doing some where I actually show you me taking pictures with my camera. I'll be showing you what kind of settings I'm using, what f number, what shutter speed. So if you're into photography, there's a few more of these videos coming. Some about Lightroom, some about composition, and some about just the settings used to take the pictures. I hope that's been of some use to you. And again, this was originally meant to be just a quick add-on to the video I just done, but I decided to make it separate. So yeah, so if you have any comments, questions, any suggestions, or you want a particular kind of tutorial on photography, whether it be composition, if you want to send me your images for me to rescue them in Lightroom, we'll call it Lightroom Rescue, then you can do that as well. I'll give you details in the description box of how to send them on to me. And if you want a particular image to be restored in Lightroom or rescued in Lightroom, you can send it on to me, and I'll do my best to make a video about me rescuing your particular image. That's it anyway. A lot more photography videos, a lot more tutorial videos to come, making a minimum of 2 of each kind a week. And I'll also be doing some, I'm also working on a blog at the moment where I'll be kind of talking about what I'm doing at the moment, and also about the kind of photography mostly. I've basically gotten back into film photography, so I have a few film cameras that I'll be kind of going over and discussing, and showing you some, doing some reviews on them as well. So that's really it. If you're into photography and you really, you think it's something you really want to do, don't rush out and buy a DSLR. My advice is have a look at a decent film camera, an SLR camera. And the reason I say that is because even though DSLR is going to be a lot more expensive, a film camera is kind of, I find, a lot more relaxing to take pictures with. You can't look at the pictures you've taken, so you can't critique your work immediately. And I think that's a good thing, because a lot of people will delete images and go, oh my god, I shouldn't have deleted that, it could have done some work. Excuse me. So that's really it. Again, a lot more photography tutorials and camera related videos to come. I hope this was of some use. If you have any questions about photography, leave a comment. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you liked it. See you next time. Bye bye.